Hey everyone, welcome back to your week ahead astrology breakdown with me, Matthew from Stillwater Alchemy. How are we feeling now that we are past the first eclipse? We're now in the thick of it with this eclipse season. With everything that's moving this week, intuitively, it feels like the energy of ready or not, here I come. It's as if you've been doing the work, it'll be a lot easier to enjoy the ride. If you won't, you're just going to have to catch up. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes we want to take a more scenic route, or sometimes we're not ready to join everyone else. But I don't think the universe is waiting for us to tie our shoelaces or put on the sunscreen or put on the bug spray. It's like everyone else is enjoying the hike. You can either catch up, pause, or kind of like cry on a rock. It's just kind of like there's just so much energy moving this week that it would be advantageous for you to stay grounded and aligned to enjoy this beautiful path that the universe has set out for you, because there's some really nice energies to look forward to this week, especially Friday. Thank you, universe. I feel like it's been doing that a lot lately to end off the week on a big high note. And there's a lot of planetary shifts happening. So please keep that in mind. Of course, if you'd like additional resources to help ground in, to help better understand these eclipse energies, we got you covered. I'll put the links to everything in the description of this bio. Okay. Now let's hop in, because I'm really excited because there's a lot to sink our teeth into. Okay. Starting at Monday, May 2nd, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hello, May. So we have the moon conjunct Mercury right off the get in Gemini. One thing I want to note throughout this entire week is that the moon will be conjunct Uranus within a 3-degree orb. So this is kind of what I'm saying, where the universe isn't waiting. Those quick, spontaneous, aligned movements are happening, especially if you have prominent Taurus energy or fixed energy. Probably felt it already during the eclipse, but it's just like, really, if you look at this, I was going to make this comparison, but it's so easy to see. It's like we're moving through the eye of the needle. It's like we're moving through so much that this new life is waiting for us. And I'm sure that many of you are already feeling that, but with Uranus, it's like innovation, reinvention, eclectic energy, one of a kind, unique. And for many of you doing this work, even just watching this video, I'm sure you fall into that category. We are not just like everyone else around you. So it can just even be a further up level or further clarity or further expansion that's on its way. So that's happening all week, right? Especially in astrology, if it's within a 3-degree orb meaning range, it's prominent. So keep that in mind. Of course, Mercury is slowing down in its pre-retrograde shadow. So this moon conjunct Mercury is kind of like negotiations. Let's get this all on the table. Let's communicate this so there's no misunderstandings. If things are unclear, don't just head straight first into the unknown. This is kind of where you want to measure twice, cut once type of energy. You don't want to second guess anything, especially tomorrow, the moon is going to be squaring Mars, and we'll get there. But part of me is thinking, like, use your intuition on this a little bit more. Don't just go off false flatteries or pleasantries. If something doesn't feel right, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is with this type of energy. So just make sure that's good. A lot of grounding will help, especially when we have good moon Mercury transits. It can often manifest in like a good intuitive spike or just higher knowledge or intelligence. And even just intuitively, when I was channeling for this, it kind of seemed like right place, right time, where something doesn't feel aligned. So you lead the conversation and then you bump into someone. It's like, oh, I was meant to talk to you about this. This feels so much free flowing. So please trust your intuition, stay in alignment with the identity that you're forming, and potentially don't take the first offer, especially as we move into the third. The one other thing, like I said, there's a lot to take in this week. I'm getting excited. And this also is playing into that perfectly. Mars is going to move into Aries at around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is going to increase the pace of a lot of things. So moving into Tuesday, a lot is shifting simply from that vantage point. So here's the thing. Venus is said to be in her detriment with regards to essential dignity when she's in Aries. This is something to note, that with Venus, right, we're talking about relationships, both people or both parties showing up in a certain type of way. Venus in Aries, she wants to do what's best for herself first. She's kind of like that warrior, that feisty energy that's not just going to bend over backwards for people, unless bending over is pleasurable to her. But she really isn't in the mindset of, I need to help everyone else before me. And it's not considered selfish, but she has things to do and to accomplish so that she can experience things at a greater level. That's what she's going to do. So if you've been feeling maybe that overwhelm or just so many emotions from the dominance of the Pisces energy that we've been feeling, this is kind of an energy too. It's going to be a nice boost to all of our fire signs, Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, with regards to romance and relationships and opportunity in pleasurable experiences. So that is fun. And I really just want you to enjoy this as well. Potentially even some manifestations that you set around that Aries new moon that we had at the beginning of April might be coming into fruition, or that you're feeling that. So please be sure to check out the house in your natal chart ruled by Aries to see where these Venusian blessings are coming, because on May 10th, Jupiter is also going to enter Aries. So that part of your chart, this is kind of like a little teaser, a little amuse-bouche, a little bit of prelude before we continue on. Okay? Okay. Now, getting back to the moon in Gemini, this is what I was saying before, that the moon is squaring Mars. So this is where we can get in our heads really quickly, or there might be a head versus heart type dynamic where it's like, I want this, but I'm feeling this. It's kind of like you might have to have some discernment there. And this is kind of going back to what I said about Monday, is that don't just take the first offer. If something doesn't seem right, this is where you're maybe going to be tested, or especially if people are pressuring you to do something, or you're putting pressure on yourself to perform, or that you need to do something or respond to someone. This is definitely where grounding and meditation and some breath work are going to be your best friends. So this is not the time to skimp on them, being like, I have so much to do. I can't remember who said the quote. It's so iconic though. It's that, I think it might've been Buddha. Don't quote me on this, everyone, but it's a really good analogy. It's like, I'm so busy today that instead of meditating for an hour, I'm going to meditate for 2 hours. That seems like a very appropriate energy for today. So with Venus now in Aries, it might also feel like you're going a mile a minute, or maybe feeling a bit more frisky, or like you want to move that sexual creative energy. So just kind of note that if you're feeling like you want to go from 0 to 100, you're like, why am I feeling all this? The moon is being egged on by Mars, and now we have Venus in Aries. So there's a lot of that kind of Martian energy still in play. When we get to Wednesday, this is kind of like another monumental moment, because now we have this Sun Uranus cazimi. A cazimi is when the planets are either within 1 degree or 18 minutes of each other. So we can see that this can be like a complete identity shift, or a spiritual awakening, or new mindsets or beliefs around love, luxury, wealth. Something that came through potentially during the eclipse on Saturday, April 30th, or just something you've been working through in the Taurus ruled part of your chart. This is just something to note, because we only get this cazimi between the Sun and Uranus once a year. So this could be a lot, and a lot in a good way, where a lot of doors open for you. I like this because now the moon is making that trine with Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn being in its home sign. And then we also have the moon making a square with Jupiter and Neptune, which is kind of a bit better in my opinion than having Mars there, especially throughout the day. It's making more of an applied square to Jupiter, which me just kind of gives a lot of options. And for me to use this beneficially, I want you to be in a pleasant emotional state, right? If we're talking Pisces intuition, really tuning into our emotions and the healing around that. That's also something I really want to encourage. I've been talking with a lot of clients lately that are going through a lot, or just a lot of that trauma or childhood pain is coming to the surface, or just fears or anxiety before they reach the next level. Both Tuesday and Wednesday, with that moon in Gemini, being able to process our feelings through communication. These would be great days to invest, even if that's like a guided meditation or using breath work, or if you can get in to see someone to talk or to breathe through this. I I'm a strong advocate for this, but investing into like a really nice meditation studio so that you place yourself in a different frequency where there are people at the top of their game holding space for you. Okay. So Tuesday, Wednesday is leading to kind of like a monumental breakthrough all around. When we get to, I was kind of like, I say these words and I'm like, yeah, it is intense, but we're in eclipse season and it's just all meant to propel you to the next level or to see where things are no longer aligned. So I don't want to cause any kind of anxiety or stress. I just want to give it to you straight and let you know that there's going to be a lot happening this week so that if we can know this beforehand, then we can prepare for success accordingly. Thursday is nice. The moon in her home sign of Cancer, depending on what time zone you're in, Wednesday night or Thursday morning, we do have the moon making a square to Venus in Aries. So for me, this is like, don't get overly sensitive by others' actions. If someone is maybe curt or short with you or doesn't respond right away, don't take that personally. And on the flip side, don't make your decisions based on what other people may or may not do. You're like, oh, I really want to go away for the weekend, but I said that I was going to hang out with this person. I'm sure that person may understand, or you can invite them along, but I don't want you to forego pleasurable opportunities or experiences based on what other people may or may not do. And do not get offended if it happens to you. That kind of just seems like really emotional, but then people putting themselves first and it can go either way in that case. But then on Thursday, the sun is now coming off of that applied cazimi with Uranus. So seeing where the dust is settled, this would just be an ultimate day for like self-care or relaxation or just chilling out a little bit. And especially too, like Thursday, Friday this week are nice because the moon in Cancer is making those trines to Mars, Neptune, Jupiter. Thursday specifically, it would just kind of tuning into your emotions, not taking anything personally. Do I have anything else here? Emotional alignment is what I said as well. So this could be an opportunity where if you take some time to relax, just tuning into the emotion that this new identity craves and potentially putting yourself in those circumstances, whether it's going to a beautiful restaurant or walking in that neighborhood or just like playing with your dog all day. Because in your best life, all you'd ever do is play with your pet all day. And that's how you want to feel. And so that's the energy and the identity that we're cultivating. Friday is blessed. This is a very fertile day. So for all of you who are trying to conceive and get pregnant, have some fun, especially with Venus and Aries. This can kind of be a little bit more risque or adventurous or kind of primal in a way because it's a Venus ruled by Mars. It's interesting now because Mars is in Pisces. So I could imagine that this could be some really intense, passionate love or like intuitive love making, or even if you're kind of single and on the prowl or just kind of navigating your way through romance and dating, really tapping into that intuition, being like, I don't know why, but I feel like I want to go to this park at this time, or I really feel like I want to take a trip here. I really feel like I'm meant to connect with this person, slide it into the DMs, for example. Trusting that intuition to elicit inspired action to reap the rewards. Okay. Jupiter is now at the 29th critical degree. So these Jupiterian blessings, Jupiter being in its home sign, everything that we've been kind of moving through in the past few months with this Jupiter transit can often manifest at this time. So like this is kind of like peak Jupiter opportunity. So this is kind of like, I just watched the movie Just My Luck with Lindsay Lohan and Chris Pine. And at the start of the movie, Lindsay Lohan is like, yeah, my life is amazing. I got this sample dress, 50% off. It's the last one. I can get a cab wherever I want. Like everyone loves me. I get this corporate credit card. It just kind of seems like the better it gets, the better it gets. Everything just gets to free flowing. And that was kind of what we were talking about on Thursday, tapping into the emotional alignment of what you're wanting to feel. And then just continually allow that to be easy. We're like, oh, how have I never lived my life like this? But of course, we need to do the work in terms of being grounded, making sure we're only surrounded by loving people, staying in fields of opportunity and career paths that are fueling us and allowing us to express our authentic self, and nothing less than that, so we can fully take advantage of this. Okay. But yeah, do something pleasurable for yourself or whatever you felt on Thursday. maybe you want to build on that feeling, or if maybe Thursday is not the best day for you and you feel awful, then you know what you don't want. And doing the complete opposite of that may be the rebound that you need to feel sprightly and alive. And when we move to Saturday, this for me is power couple type vibes, or allowing yourself to show off. We have the moon making a trine to Venus, and they're both in air signs. Like, this is kind of like, on Selling Sunset, when they're doing the slow-mo of the girls in all their designer outfits, and they're like walking to the office or walking to a house, and they just look like $1,000,000, and you're just kind of like, oh, that is such a vibe. Or whatever your comparison is, whether it's like the start of a Marvel movie or the opening scene of James Bond or whatever it is, where you're just like, this is high production, this is luxury, this is power. That's the energy of this. Where you're almost like salivating. You're like, this is so hot and powerful and sexy and something that I want to be around. Either you embody that, or you're going to be around that potentially. So whether that's putting yourself out there on social media, or whether that's promoting something, you're doing an IG live, or just looking amazing and going for a walk and receiving love, receiving compliments, admiring when people are just sending you some love. And you might just be in a really nice position to be in those kind of more fiery, more action-oriented place, whether it's like a sports game, or you're at the gym, or rock climbing, or just being active, like being outside in the sun and being happy, period. Maybe going on the beach and like wearing a swimsuit for the first time and getting compliments. Like, this all just screams like, go out, have fun, be seen, accept the compliments, live your best life. Especially after all the water energy that we've been dealing with ever since really Aries season, even though that's a fire sign. We had so much in Pisces, kind of like, let's get our body moving. Let's be in this fire energy. Let's be in this sex magic type energy to cultivate what we desire. I think we are all in the mood for the fires to come. Sunday is kind of like, I just need to rest now. If you went a little bit hard on Saturday night, it might be like, I just need to rest and stay horizontal for a little bit. It could also mean like, I just had such an intense week of like level up, or breakthrough, that I just need a moment to chill. Take that moment, because we do have the moon making a square to Uranus. It's making that wide applied opposition to Saturn. And I mean, it's also that trine to Chiron as well. So it might be a good unwinding where like, how have I not been living this life always? Or that you had to have some like tough conversations with people that are no longer aligned with you. And you're like, this is hard, but I need to be able to release these emotions in a very healthy manner. So that Sunday just seems like a release that is needed, no matter what angle you're coming from. Okay. So take that time to ground, recalibrate, rest, and then we'll be good to go. Moving into mid-May after this week, which is intense. So let's move into the astrology question of the week. I have it here on my phone. It's a good question. I just want to reiterate it word for word. So Carmen asks, since Pluto is the outermost planet, does its retrograde affect us as strongly, or only if you have prominent Scorpio or Pluto energy? So this is a really good question. That with retrogrades, I think sometimes we give ourselves some anxiety or stress for no reason. Remember that Pluto stationed retrograde at the end of April. We talked about that at the very end of our week ahead forecast last week. With Pluto, since it is the outermost planet, we generally don't feel it as much as we would, let's say, Mercury. It would be like a comparison of, in your home, you have your loved ones, and then in your city, things go on that are obviously going to affect you. But let's say you live in North America and a flooding happening. It's in Australia. It's a flood that kind of shuts down the city, but it doesn't cause any major damage. You'll probably still hear about it in the news, and you'll have empathy, or maybe reach out if you have a friend there. But it'd be different than either A, if you lived in Australia, or secondly, if you have family that are really affected by the floods. Now, to build on that analogy, let's say that you have late cardinal placements. So Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, or Libra, given that that Pluto retrograde is happening around 28 degrees. If you have late cardinal placements, this Pluto retrograde will affect you within a 3-degree orb. So let's say 25 to 29 degrees of cardinal placements, then you will feel it. That'll be like the analogy of you live in North America, but your immediate family is in Australia. And you're like, oh, this is actually something that is affecting me in some way, shape, or form. Now, with regards to Pluto being linked to Scorpio, that's more of a modern take on that. Because remember, with regards to Hellenistic and traditional astrology, Mars is Scorpio's ruler. So you don't have to overly stress that whenever Pluto goes retrograde, you have to look at your Scorpio house. Like we would, let's say, when Mercury is retrograde, we'd look at our Gemini and Virgo houses to see how that's going to manifest. So that's also a really good point to clarify. Of course, if you feel it, if you're, let's say, a Scorpio rising or have lots of Scorpio energy, for me, the main thing going on right now is that South Node in Scorpio. And then we also have Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. All those placements are probably going to affect your Scorpio placements more than Pluto would, especially since Pluto's not even in a fixed sign right now. So if you have dominant Scorpio energy, don't stress about the Pluto retrograde, because Pluto retrogrades every year for about 5.5 months. Like Pluto will be retrograde, I believe, until October 8th of this year. So we experience Pluto retrogrades every year for about 5 to 6 months, which is why it's not really as noticeable unless you're in a very tight orb of where it's retrograding. Okay. So that is my answer on that. Let me know if it resonates or if you have any follow-up questions about that Pluto retrograde. Of course, Pluto themes are death and rebirth, power, control, truth. So if you are one of those late cardinal placements looking at the planet or the angle that's being affected by that, and then going from there to really work backwards. Let's say you have a Cancer moon at 26 degrees in your 4th house, then there would be prominent themes maybe around the mother or feminine energy in your home dynamic and with regards to career. So maybe your career is taking off in a really big way and it's harder for you to spend time with your mother or even just to rest because you're going nonstop, as an example. Okay. Fabulous. Please enjoy this week. Enjoy the ride in all ways. Please still rest. I've talked to so many of my friends or clients that have prominent fixed energy. They're like, yeah, I don't know why I'm just so tired. It's the eclipses. I promise you, there's just so much going on. I made the comparison to a friend. When you go to the gym, let's say for a week straight, and you're working out super hard and you're breaking new personal bests, you're exhausted by the end of the week. Now imagine doing that type of work on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level, on top of all the physical work that you're doing at your job, at the gym, in this 3D reality. Of course, you're going to be exhausted. Of course, you're going to need that much more sleep. 1 or 2 days of sleep may not necessarily catch you up on what is needed for the massive amounts of integration and shedding that's taking place as you sleep. So don't judge it. You don't need to explain to anyone. People are like, oh, you're going back to bed again. It's like, why do you need so much sleep? No. If you need the rest, please rest, because we're still in the heart of eclipse season. And we just saw how everything is going to be activated and expanded upon. So the more rest you get, the more opportunity and fun there will be. Maybe even having that as a mantra. The more rest I receive, the more fun I will have. Okay? Fabulous. Have a beautiful week ahead. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll also put the resources for the eclipses in the description of this video. If you have any questions, I already said that. You guys, I need a nap. So enjoy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.